Hey guys, Lance Martin with the Martin Group and formerly Coldwell Banker Town and Country. So we've got a big announcement that I guess I'm making right now. After 21 years and probably a decades-long thought process, we are leaving Coldwell Banker and we are going to be joining eXp Realty. And frankly, with Kyle Whissel as part of our team here. So there's the big reveal. Some of you might have been wondering what's been going on with Drew and Drake and I for the last few months on we've been talking in code. But anyway, we made the official decision. I guess the official cutoff date is March 10th-ish, somewhere in that area. So we're super, super excited. You're going to see a whole bunch of stuff about what we're doing and why we're doing it. But let me throw it over to Kyle here for a second and say, hey, I guess... welcome or thank you for letting us join in here. So here we are, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, so we're 8 years in the making of this officially happening, man, and we couldn't be more excited for you to be a part of the group. I know that you're going to bring a lot of experience and knowledge into the group, but at the same time, you're going to gain a lot out of the group.
Hey guys, Lance Martin with what should I say? Coldwell Banker Town and Country. So that's going to be my hook to get started. So today's an interesting day. So I am sitting down with Kyle. But pronounce your last name for me.
Whissel.
Whissel. I think I do it Whissel sometimes.
Yeah.
So Whissel with an I. I should know that. Okay, so with Kyle Whissel, with what are you now? Whissel Beers
Group.
Whissel Beer Group.
We actually have our own beer.
You have your own beer.
I wonder if we have any here.
We're going to have some.
With some.
We will definitely have a few. So I'm sitting down with Kyle with Whissel Beer Group / eXp Realty.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to tell a little story. We got some stuff to talk about. So I met you 8.5 years ago, give or take.
Yeah.
So we'll do the math on that. So 2018-ish.
Yeah.
Okay. And I didn't really know you, but we met. We were at Coachella. We partied. We had a good time with Stephen and Maya, our good friend, mutual friend, Stephen. Are you still friends with Stephen?
I am,
okay,
yeah.
I am too. Love you, Stephen.
New Stephen and old Stephen.
Yes.
Wow.
There's a new Stephen and an old Stephen. That's awesome. So at any rate, I think he's the one who introduced us.
Yeah.
And had a good time at Coachella, partied a little bit, had a couple beers, enjoyed some music. And my reference for you at whatever that was probably April of 2018, give or take a year, was successful, independent, doing well. I had heard of you before, and I may get some of the facts a little bit wrong, but I had heard of you probably through my good friend, Peter Mendiola at Coldwell Banker West. And my memory was that you're a pain in the ass. You're just a thorn in his side. And but everybody who doesn't work at Coldwell Banker West is a pain in Peter's side, because that's just who Peter is. Yeah. Peter wants to rule the world, and if you're not at Coldwell Banker West, you should be, and you're a pain in the ass. So, and I think given that, I'm like, okay, Kyle's got her shit together. You know what you're doing, and you're doing well. And then, I don't know whether it was a month later or 4 months later, I heard somewhere, maybe on your social media, or maybe Steven, was like, oh, Kyle threw in with eXp. And I was like, oh, wow, interesting. And there's a reason that I was wow on that, because there's going to be a little theme to what we're going to talk about today. We've been with Drew and Drake and I. I'm in business with both of my sons. I've been with Coldwell Banker now for 21 years. Prior to that, we were independent with my father for 15 years.
Okay.
And I know this is a long wind up. I'm going to let you jump in here.
Yeah.
But we had been with Coldwell Banker for 21 years today. And by the way, we're leaving Coldwell Banker if you guys haven't figured that out. So this is the big reveal. And but 8 years ago, when you'd said I'm leaving, I'm like, this is interesting, because Drew and Drake and I, for a period before that, this is a decade-long decision. This is probably more than a decade-long decision for us to say, we believe the legacy franchise brands are broken. Okay. By the way, it's not Coldwell Banker. Coldwell Banker's a great company. Yeah. Coldwell Banker's fine. So is Keller Williams. And so is Remax and insert brand here. These are fine companies. But we had a concern that the brands were broken way back when. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing? I knew eXp was different. So I called you. We went to lunch somewhere, one of the hotels down at Tom Ferry Summit.
The Hilton.
Went to breakfast or whatever it was. Okay, so I'm going to pause there.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
I specifically remember. I know the hotel.
What was so I'll give you the setup. I was like, dude, why? Tell me why. And you told me why. So what did you tell me? I don't remember exactly what you told me.
I would say my vision 8 years ago when we first came over versus today, 8 years later, has definitely evolved.
Okay.
I think initially the thing that was really attractive to me was the opportunity to go to a brokerage, which I've always been anti-brokerage for a long time. When I got in the business, I worked with my dad on the commercial side. It was his brokerage. And then when I moved over to the residential side, it was my brokerage. I never saw alignment between what you pay versus what you get from brokerages.
Okay.
So it was always like pay a lot and get a little. And I'm paying all this money and all I'm getting is like a brand name. Maybe I get a balloon from Remax.
Did you investigate the franchises?
I've looked at them in the past, but I never went because there was a misalignment between what I pay versus what I get.
Right.
But what I went through at that time was that I had my own independent brokerage. And one of the things when you have an independent brokerage is you believe at some point you're going to sell this thing and there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Right.
And I actually started getting approached by brands. What was Realogy, which was Anywhere, which was now Compass or whatever we're calling it.
Right.
Now.
Right.
But I started getting approached by multiple brands nationally, as well as some local brands that wanted to do an M&A deal with us. Yep. And I was like, here it is. Like, I'm at the end of the rainbow. Give me my pot of gold.
Yep.
And it was the most humbling and humiliating experience, I think.
The pot of gold wasn't as big as you might have.
The pot of gold was like a piece of gold. Like it was nowhere near what I thought it would be. So at that point, I was like, man, I don't want to run my own brokerage anymore because all the headaches, all the stress, all the BS is not worth it.
Right.
If all I get is one gold coin, not a pot of gold. So then I started to explore the brokerages more in depth than I ever had before. And then when I started to come across eXp, I was like, this scales flip-flop. Now I pay a little and I get a lot, right? Because all I got to pay is a $16,000 cap and they're going to give it all back to me because of how many homes we sell. But then they're going to give me not only tons of tools, but then there's these new opportunities with stock and with revenue share that didn't exist previously. And really no other company had ever done that before eXp.
Right.
And so I saw this opportunity both for me as well as my agents, because the other company that I was looking at closely at the time was Compass. And
interesting.
Compass made me an offer, but the offer was a whole bunch of money now, but in the long haul, I was going to give all that money back and then some.
Right.
And so I made a decision at that point to bet on myself and bet on the future in the long game that eXp in the beginning was not nearly as attractive as Compass because there was no money up front.
Well, but it was really new. How many agents nationwide were in eXp
like
at that time?
8,000.
8,000.
Yeah, now it's 80-something thousand. So
Yep.
I made a bet at that point that because of the model that eXp introduced of not having brick and mortar, going fully cloud-based, taking half of the money they receive and giving it back to the agents in the form of revenue share, that model was going to change the industry. And in the long haul, even though I didn't get any money up front, in the long haul, I was going to make a lot more money on the back end.
Right.
8 years later, that was a really good bet that we made.
Right. Okay, so I remember... I don't know that I remember any of our breakfast conversation, but I do remember leaving there like just more questions than answers.
Yeah.
But part of it was, again, I've had a theme, which by the way is all over my video stuff. If you actually go back and watch my videos in the last 15 years, if I said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. The real estate business is broken.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I got to be careful when I say that because a lot of my audience, assuming I have an audience, are not real estate operators. They're like buyers and sellers and landlords and tenants. And I constantly like, well, what do you mean the market's going to collapse and property? No, I'm not talking about property values. I'm talking about owning and operating a real estate brokerage.
Yeah.
It's been broken in part for what you said. There's a certain amount of expense associated with franchise fees, traditional brick and mortar and all the rest of that sort of stuff. And the margins have just been getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So when I left our breakfast, I thought, I don't know where I need to go. And again, this is 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But I know where I'm at is broken. And since that breakfast, my feeling of owning a broken model is only just increased.
Yeah.
Because the margins are not better today than they were 8 years ago. The liability is not better today than it was 8 years ago. The cost to operate, everything just has taken those margins and crunched them and crunched them and crunched them to the point where it hasn't worked.
Yep.
So I can remember thinking, wow, I don't know whether Kyle's making a correct decision, but I respected it because at that time with Drew and Drake and our team, we would have these meetings and I'm sure we talked about you. I'm sure, but whatever it was, you were not very convincing that day, by the way.
Yeah.
Shame on you. If you had just done a little bit better job convincing me 8 years ago. But having said that, it was convincing enough that I would come. That breakfast that day has probably had one of 5 or 10 things that have impacted my business decision-making process for the last 8 years. Yeah. I would go back to that breakfast. It's okay. We're struggling with where we are. Kyle did that. Was that the right decision? And I would still question. I mean, obviously, I've questioned it up until recently. How many times have you and I and Drake and Drew, more so Drake, but how many times have we met in the last 8 years, approaching, hey, we might do this? Will you give us an hour?
It's like an annual thing. It's pretty much an annual thing that we.
At what point were you like, fuck these guys, man? They're just, I don't want to date them anymore. This is, you're wasting my time. At some point, you had to.
No, there's that saying, like the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And I've done this long enough to where there's so many people that look at it, don't see the vision the first time,
right?
Or maybe they're not in a place for it, or their risk tolerance isn't there.
Yep.
Now the company's more mature. People are more comfortable with it. Because 8 years ago, 8,000 person company, like when we joined, it was a dumpster fire, the joining process, right?
There was risk. I mean,
but like think about now, you guys are about to, officially sign on and they're literally flying a team to your office to onboard you.
Right.
Like when I onboarded, I had 25 agents. They just sent me like a Google sheet and was like, we'll just like collaborate on this sheet.
Yeah,
and it was a train wreck, right? So it's like, not everybody has that risk tolerance.
Right.
Right. Where I'm that guy. I love to take risk. I just went bobsledding. I tried to go skeletoning. Is that I don't know. Is
that the face down, head forward, or the other one? I tried to do that
yesterday. I couldn't get in.
How'd that go?
I didn't get in, so I want to go back to Whistler just so I can skeleton down the track.
Okay.
Like I love to take risk. Like I get a high off of that. So that move 8 years ago, like my risk tolerance is high. Others don't have that same risk tolerance, especially when you're coming from a traditional model.
Right.
You don't come from a traditional model and take risk quickly. Like that's just abnormal. So don't fault you for it.
Right.
But here we are 8 years later, it's run its course over there and it's time to make the move.
Yeah. Well, it has. It's funny you say, you said you use the word risk tolerance. I use that a lot.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I have a high risk tolerance in business, irrespective of the decision-making process it took to get to where we are. So when you sit back and in fact, Drew and Drake would talk, and I think recently the three of us, or maybe Drew or Drake said it, like, okay, you keep talking about this broken business model, but you don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So it's like, stop talking about it. It's like you're either going to say it's broken and you're going to change it, or we're just going to do what I've basically done and it's more than a decade. I mean, I'm probably on video saying this 15 years ago. But it, change is hard.
Yeah.
We did, and again, I have nothing bad to say about Coldwell Banker. Coldwell Banker is an awesome brand. And if I'm not leaving Coldwell Banker because I think Better Homes and Gardens is better, or Keller Williams is better, or for that matter, even eXp is better. Strange as that may sound, I think the model is better. It's just the model.
So what is it about the model specifically that, like, again, you didn't see it 8 years ago, but you see it today. What do you see in the model?
Okay, excellent. Okay, good. Wow, put me on the spot.
Yeah.
Okay, well, first let's start with the obvious. One of my recruiting challenges is the legacy brands and the traditional overhead of the franchise fee. And I'm not going to spill any secrets here, but Coldwell Banker has a franchise fee, and depending upon who you are, you're a big dog. Maybe your franchise fee payable is a little smaller than a smaller dog. I don't know exactly how that works with the entire, what do they call those things? They have to put out those published reports for the franchise. There might be some issues in there. But nevertheless, you have an overhead with the franchise fee. The legacy brand Coldwell Banker used to have a thing called a national advertising fee. So you have your franchise fee, and then you got an overlay on top of that, which in theory goes towards like television commercials and all sorts of cool stuff. And again, it's going to sound like I'm talking trash on CB. Maybe in this regard I am. Okay, but I don't mean it that way. The brand has served me very well. They're a fantastic brand, but we were paying national advertising fees for a very, very long time. I'm like, well, when's the last time you saw a Coldwell Banker ad?
Yep.
And we used to think traditional ads, something on television, and they used to do that.
Yep.
And then so just to deal with the obvious, we've lost 400 agents in the last decade.
Okay.
Now, the truth of that is 300 of them, they just needed to go anyway. I mean, they just weren't, our by the way, yes, and our business model is broken. The licensing structure is broken. The fact that 71%, according to the National Association of Realtors, closed 0 transactions in 2025.
Yep.
Is that really 71 or is it closer to 50? It doesn't matter. It's a tremendous level of agents. But anyway, so we lost 300 agents. And by the way, there's probably 3 of those that I was like, okay, good. I'm glad you're gone. The other ones, I'm like, every one of them, like, even if they weren't a super high producer, it's like, I loved you, man.
Yeah.
And you have a chance, and we want to develop you, and when we think we're awesome.
Yeah.
I'm awesome. Okay. But it would invariably be money. I would always say there's 3 reasons to work. So by the way, I'm going to answer your question, why eXp. There's 3 reasons that agents go anywhere. Mm-hmm. It's brand.
Yep.
I like Coldwell Banker. I like Century 21. Okay. Broker ownership. Mm-hmm. Okay. Lance, you're a good guy. Drake and I, we did an appointment last week on our property management side, which we can talk about later maybe. And we an hour into this thing, and I'm like, okay, well, what do you think? And they're, it's great. And I said, well, this is the deal. If you like me and you like what we just did, then this is the right place.
Yeah.
But if I'm not jiving with you, we're not the right management company, because this is what you see is what you get. Yep. This is who we are. So if you're expecting something different, this is the wrong spot.
Yep.
So I would say agents, you work at Coldwell Banker, Town and Country, for the brand, for the management, Drew, Drake, myself, and Paul, and prior managers, and then money.
Yeah.
Okay, now what order is it going to be? What I discovered quickly, and by the way, I hate to negotiate on value or lack of value. Hey, our value is us and the brand, so don't give money away. But at the end of the day, it became increasingly apparent that money's important. And if I go back to those 400, there's some agents that left me because, we weren't supporting them, or they thought there was better training, or they didn't like me, of course. But far too many of them was conversation with something like this. Hey, Kyle, we'll leave numbers out, but this is my split, and I want 5% more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, of course you do. Let's see. Oh, well, I see you've done no business. And I see you have, and you have one open escrow, which, by the way, it's going to close next week.
Yeah.
And now,
that's when they want.
And you want 5% more.
Yeah.
And whatever the context of that conversation was, it became increasingly obvious that the power had shifted, which is, I'm gonna go back to the story, but let me answer in part why eXp. One of the reasons why eXp is because the power in the industry has shifted. What I mean by that is, in the old days, I didn't know you worked with your dad, by the way.
Yeah. Sold all apartment buildings and retail.
Didn't know that. I worked with my mom and dad.
Yeah. My
grandmother was in the business. I'm going to go back and tell my grandma's story. My grandma was a badass female, put this in context, female broker in the 50s. Okay? In the 50s. Okay, the women will understand. She was like, I have newspaper articles with my grandmother in there, top broker, standing next to 10 men, all in white shirts and black ties, and this, beautiful woman as top broker. That's awesome. A big deal.
Yeah.
Okay. But I talked to my grandma, and we talk about margins, and she'd be like, "You can't make any money. You're paying your agents too much money. Paying your agents too much money."
Yep.
I'm like, "Well, grandma, that's how it is." And then we talk all the time. She's passed, but then we talk 2-3 years. She said, well, where are you with your splits? And again, I'm not going to put any numbers in here, but well, Lance, now you're paying them even more money now than you were last time we talked. We would have that conversation to the point where, and every time she said, "You're going to go broke. You can't make money. You can't make money." Okay, so getting back to where the power shift is.
Yep.
Power used to be with the broker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We were all powerful. You'll 50-50 or whatever it is, or this and that. And then over a period of time, and we did this to ourselves, the industry, broker owners did this to ourselves, but the power shifted. The power is to the agents. The agents have all the power. So recognizing that, it's like, okay, well, I believe eXp is more of an agent-centric model. Okay, why am I fighting to be the powerful broker when the agents don't see me as the powerful broker anymore? You know, remain nameless, and if any of you guys are watching this, you know who you are. But I've had agents that have left me and basically said, friends of mine, I gone on vacation with them. We went to Lake Powell. We've partied. We've had great times. Gone to Coachella. And, oh, no, dude, you're awesome. I love you, man. And, oh, Coldwell Banker, they're awesome. I love you, man. But I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Why are you leaving? Oh, because I can get an extra 2% over here. Or I don't want to pay franchise fees.
Yep.
Well, then you don't love Coldwell Banker. If you don't see value, then you don't. Okay. And if I can't make, you want to take the last 5% that our split is, the last 5%. Right. You realize I'm getting 5%.
Yeah.
Well, that's too much. So you don't want to pay franchise fees. You don't want to pay me. Right? So you're gone. So that's the power shift.
Yep.
So I look at eXp as acknowledging the reality. And the reality is the agent's control. So I guess I've finally succumbed to, let's change the model.
Yeah.
Why are we beating our heads against the wall with franchises? Brands.
Yep.
Okay. Another reason why I think eXp is so attractive. I have watched over a period of time, last decade, individual agent brands go from non-existent, which is funny because, I've been doing this 38 years. I was a brand.
Yeah.
I was Lance Martin. I wasn't the Lance Martin Group. I wasn't this, but my signs, I don't know if 40 years ago agents did this, but I did it. Lance Martin.
Yep.
Okay. It was, you knew, there's Lance. Lance has got that sign.
Yep.
So that my brand was me.
Yep.
And we were independent. It was Pioneer Real Estate. Me and my dad. By the way, I say that like in a derogatory, but we were Pioneer, very folksy. Wagon Wheel was our logo, brown and white, ugly colors, competing against killers, competing with Tarbell Realtors, awesome companies. Remax, which was behemoth back then. And the brand was me.
Yeah.
So fast forward to today, my top agents, I defy you to go through their social media and find Coldwell Banker logos.
Yep.
It's like, which forget about the fact that DRE might have something to say about that, right? But I defy it. I was like, you are the Sally Smith group. You are the John Smith team. You
Right.
are whatever the hell you are. And a significant percentage of my top agents either don't use Coldwell Banker in their marketing, at least their public-facing marketing. They might use it on a listing presentation or something.
Yeah.
Or it's so insignificant you can't see it.
Yep.
Brand new agents, brand new, never sold a house. Drake will show me a social media post, and it's they've never sold a house.
Yep.
And it's like, Sally Smith Real Estate. Well, first of all, Sally Smith, you're not a broker and can't use the word real estate in your.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't do that, but
you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
So it's like,
well, it's the influencer culture that we have right now. It's like everybody wants to be an influencer.
They want to be an influencer.
Yeah.
So trying back to answer, I guess this, if the first answer to the question is why eXp, I think eXp empowers the individual agent.
Yeah.
Acknowledging that they are the driving force in our industry, no longer the broker.
Yep.
Okay. Second part is, now that those agents have been empowered, it's very easy to acknowledge what has been true in my company for years is, okay, if you want to be the Martin Group, or if you want to be Leaper Realty Group, or you want to be whoever you want to be, Lazo and Associates, these are all people that work within my company.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? This is easy.
Yeah.
Okay. Now some of those are a little Coldwell Banker logo in the corner.
Yep.
Others, not so much. So it's like, let's acknowledge the reality. So you can come over here. We can adjust or eliminate, in some cases, the legacy franchise fees and some of those other costs, and be what you want to be.
Yep.
Be you, the Martin Group, powered by eXp, whether you want to blow that up really big or you just say, I don't want anything to do with it. Let's be DRE compliant, of course. So I've not that I've been untrue or unfaithful to my word, but for a long time, if you came and you wanted to brand yourself, I'm like, okay, that's fine, Kyle. You can brand yourself. But, I think the rules with DRE, correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows, on public facing stuff, 50% who you work for, the ABC company, and 50% the Martin Group.
Yes.
Or
unless you do your personal name, then your name can be as big as you want and the logo can be small. So but once you start using a team name, then yes, you run into that equal. I think the actual term is as conspicuous as.
Fair enough.
Which leaves all kinds of room for interpretation. Thank you, DRE.
There you go. So, so that's part. And by the way, these are. I mean, I hate to start with money because I'd almost, you're just giving up. Lance, you can't sell your value. And there's friends of mine that are with legacy brands that might look at this and say, Lance, you're just a weak suck. You can't sell your value. Man, I know my value, and I'm a good salesman. I mean, I can fucking sell.
Yeah.
But it's getting more and more difficult.
Yeah.
Especially when you have agents that brand. Now, the part where I say maybe I haven't been as honest is if I'm now really truly saying, and this is self-serving, I understand it, but you know what? You should brand yourself.
Yeah.
You should.
Mm-hmm.
You really should. So all of those agents who have embraced that individual branding, you were right.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, whether it's Tom Ferry or whoever the heck it is for a very long time, I say, hey, they're going to buy you.
Yeah.
You're the guy.
Well, even look at Tom Ferry. At one point, he changed his company name to Your Coach. I was like, what the hell? Like, Tom, what are you doing?
Forgot about that.
Do you remember that era?
But I do now.
There was an era where he went away from his name and was like, oh, the company is now called Your Coach.
Right.
And that was so stupid. Like, no, you're Tom Ferry. Be Tom fucking Ferry. Like, why are you getting rid of your name off of this? Like, I'm sure it was so he could try to step away. But in services businesses, like buying a home or hiring a coach, you want somebody, a human that you can identify with, that you can connect with, that you can trust beyond just a brand name.
Right.
And I think that's where things have changed over the years is there was an era, I've read about it, maybe you experienced it, but people would literally walk into a Coldwell Banker office and say I need to sell my home. I want to hire a Coldwell agent. That doesn't really happen anymore.
It doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
It does. And we could talk about why that doesn't happen, but we just moved our office in Moreno Valley. Yeah. We were on Sunnymead Boulevard. And we just left Sunnymead Boulevard. But one of the reasons I wanted to be on Sunnymead Boulevard was I was still holding on to that era.
Yeah.
The main thoroughfare in the city back many years ago. Many years ago. You would have walk-in traffic.
Yep.
People would drive around in their cars and they would look at the signs. This is pre-Zillow, of course. And they'd call the number on the sign and the agent who actually had the listing would pick up. Back in the day when we were doing a lot of REO stuff, and this is again pre-Zillow type stuff, Kyle, we had 200 sign calls a day. Now, granted, we had a lot of inventory.
Yeah.
But this is, by the way, that's one agent. That's Lance. It was Drew and I basically, but this is Lance Martin with, I don't know, say 20 signs out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you get 200 phone calls a day on 20 signs? Yes, I did.
That's so crazy.
Yes, we had a freaking call center.
Yeah.
That all I did is answer. No, those days are gone.
Yep.
Because now people don't drive around, and if they do drive around and they even see a sign, they don't. Who's going to call that? They're going to go to Zillow and let's hit the button and let's go talk to some schmuck who doesn't know anything about the property and those flex agents and all those guys, which we used to be. Well, a different conversation for a different time. But yeah, things have changed. Okay. So no one walks into the office, this and that. A couple other things though, and then I could go on for a long time. So it's a part of why we're doing this is I just want to dump some stuff out of my mind. I'm going to be completely honest. I want to get it out. I want to get it on video.
Yeah.
We're going to cut it up and let's see what looks cute. Hey, that looks good. Let's put that out there. But a couple other things. Okay, so we've lost a couple agents that loved us, who then ultimately ended up at eXp.
Yep.
One of our, they'll remain nameless, but one of them moved to Florida. You know who you are. Another one says, well, I want to do business here in California, but I also want to do business in a different state because I have an opportunity to do business in a different state. And they would come to me and say, how do we do this? Can we do this? And both of them at least looked at Coldwell Bankers in those other states. But doing that, and one of them was a broker, so she could do that. But doing it just wasn't very clean. It wasn't very pretty.
Right.
And so both of these agents chose to go to eXp.
Yep.
And to my knowledge, they're both happy and they're doing their thing. But, and this is a small thing, but for me, I don't think it's a small thing because we are a small town, inland Southern California company, but we have a very, very large nationwide ability to do business.
Yeah.
And these two agents if we had been with eXp, it would have been very easy. Oh, cool. I'm going to go to Florida. I'm still going to be kind of with you because they see value in me.
Yep.
I've had long-term relationships with them and they see value, future value. And I want to be connected with Lance because even though I'm in Florida, there's a chance that I might do something again with Lance and Drew and Drake 5 years from now. But we didn't have that ability.
Yep.
We didn't have that ability. And then interestingly enough, I don't even know if you and I have talked about this. Again, Drew and Drake and I keep saying it over and over. We're the Martin Group. Mm-hmm. We're our own little thing. We've done a lot of REO business in the past, and we've done a lot of hedge fund business in the past. And one of our clients, which I spoke to today, literally, by the way, it's the client that texted me when I sat down with you 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have talked to him earlier, but his gallbladder burst and had to clean that up. So I talked to him today. And if you remember that text, he's like, are you guys set up to do business in Nevada? And over the last several years, we've had similar texts. Are you guys, can you do business in Georgia?
Yeah.
Can you do business in Tennessee? Can you do business in Florida? Matter of fact, in Arizona. And Drake and Drew and I were, we got to go get our broker's license in Florida. We got to go and you know what a task that is.
Yeah.
So at any rate, why eXp? By the way, I haven't talked to you about this, so tell me the pitfalls with this. I'm prepared to know why my business is flawed or my model is flawed. So I talked to Richard today. Richard, we'll leave it at that. I'm like, what do you got? He says, I've got 140 units in Las Vegas area.
Yeah.
And I want to sell them all individually. And whether we've done business with them before, we've sold hundreds and hundreds, all in probably 700 homes, individual homes with these hedge fund clients, all of them in California. And he says, can you help me? And I'm like, yeah, we're making a move. We're not going to be a Coldwell Banker. We're going to be at the eXp. Like, well, are you? And by the way, I probably shouldn't put this on video, but we'll edit out the part that doesn't sound good. But I think I'm cool here. I'm like, I don't have a broker's license in Nevada or Tennessee or Florida, but I now have a different relationship. My relationship is an associate with eXp who has a license in 50 states. And this is what I intend to do. So tell me if you think this is awesome or whether I'm in trouble. So I need an agent in Nevada, like maybe right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I have resources. And I'm going to go recruit an agent who's currently working at ABC Realty and say, hey, I know you. You know me. I have an opportunity. How would you like to sell 120 houses in the next 12 months? This is the terms.
Yep.
Okay. You got to come over to eXp. You're going to work under the Martin Group. And we don't know what we're going to call ourselves, by the way. Drake, are we going to be Cobalt Realty Group? We don't know. We're figuring that out. We probably need to decide that pretty quick.
Yeah, it takes a little time to get that DBA approved.
Tell me about it. It's just, well, actually, correct. We have all sorts of things we got to do that we're way behind on.
Yep.
But at any rate, I'm like, okay, I'll tell you, why don't you, this is the package. You're going to come to eXp. You're licensed in Nevada. These are the houses. Let's meet with the client. I have the systems.
Yeah.
I have the team. I know what the client wants. You're going to be, obviously eXp's licensed in Nevada at the broker level. My new agent, Sally Smith, is going to be the associate at the agent on the grounds level. I got the system. I got the team. I got all of it. I got the client. Okay. And this particular client does this in, 10 states.
Yep.
And at some point in time, they're going to sell all these houses and they love us.
Yeah.
So does that work? Can I do that?
Yeah. So that's one of the beauties of this model versus the traditional franchise model is like, you are so confined to your territory.
You think?
And if you go outside of that territory, you lose complete control.
Yep.
And so even here in San Diego, there's a Coldwell Banker West over here, and there's another Coldwell Banker brand over there.
Yep.
And those have different ownership groups.
They do.
And so the fee structure is different. The culture is different. Everything is different. So if you're with Coldwell Banker or any of these franchise companies, and you want to go pop a team in Vegas tomorrow, you got to now go interview all the different offices and figure out like which office do I want to be a part of that aligns with what my goal is.
Yep.
And so now you're meeting with different broker owners, and this goes for Keller Williams and all these companies. And then you got to find out what's their financial model. Like, does their financial model align with what I want to do? At eXp, it's the same model nationwide. So whether somebody is here in San Diego, they're in Las Vegas, they're in Knoxville, Kentucky, like it is the same. The split is the same. The cap is the same. The fees are the same, which is really nice because it allows you to go expand anywhere you want to go tomorrow. Right. You don't have to go meet with a franchise owner, right? Like, you can literally have a team tomorrow in Vegas. You could have a team tomorrow in Knoxville. You could have a team tomorrow in Miami. You don't have to go interview all these different franchise owners to figure out who you want to align with. So
correct.
The fact that you can literally expand nationwide in 25 plus countries as well tomorrow without having to worry about what's the model there versus here, like that for expansion is huge. So for the opportunity that you guys have, like that makes it so easy for you to accommodate your client.
Right.
And that makes it so attractive for your client to work with you because they don't have to go and find a new team in every market. You're going to handle that for them.
Yep.
And so whether you bring somebody in from outside of eXp or you jump into the hub, which is the communication system for eXp, you go jump in the Las Vegas group inside the hub and say, hey, I have this opportunity. Here's the criteria to be a part of it. If you're interested, call me or, email me your resume, whatever.
Right.
And now you could actually just take somebody who's already at eXp and bring them on and build that. And you don't even have to recruit somebody to the company. Yeah. So you have multiple angles that you can go there.
Well, so you're endorsing my third reason.
Yeah.
And it's real for us. And it doesn't necessarily work for any particular agent, but for us, it's real. We have clients that are at least operating in a dozen states, and there is going to be an opportunity at some point in time. They're going to sell these, and they have not sold all of them in bulk. Matter of fact, again, we've done, I don't even know what the total number is, 700, give or take.
Yeah.
One at a time.
Yep.
One at a time. And you can do the math on that. It's been awesome. But we want to grow. We're in an expansion mindset.
Yeah.
I think internally, to the degree that I've talked about this with a very, very small circle of friends, and like, you're just going to go get a little small. I'm like, no, just the exact opposite. Yeah. We don't want to get small. And honestly, we almost have felt like we've been handcuffed a little bit. We want to be able to expand and do business, like you said, tomorrow in Nevada.
Yep.
And tomorrow, or at the drop of a hat, the phone call comes in and says, hey, we do have these properties in Georgia. We're now ready.
Yep.
Cool. Give me 3 days.
Yeah.
We'll fly out tomorrow. I'll introduce you to your new teammate. And I don't have to, like you said, I think, I'm not sure if you said it this way, but this is what I heard. Previously, it would be like, okay, I've got to go find a couple banker outside of Atlanta, and do I know them, and do I align with them, and can we make the money work? And like, screw that. I don't have to do that anymore.
Yep.
I go find somebody on my own team. On top of that, and again, we have an office in Moreno Valley, Claremont, Covina right now, and we're not going to move our office in Moreno Valley. We've been there for forever, since 1980. My dad and I opened Moreno Valley in 1988, January of 88.
Yeah.
And we will have an office in the city of Moreno Valley forever.
Yeah.
But I can't open an office in Riverside.
Yep.
I mean, I could play games. There's a lot of game playing with, a little, satellite, Global Banker here, a little satellite. Well, it's a game.
Yeah.
Well, I can't do that. We lost an opportunity. In fairness, we could have done it anyway, but we had an opportunity to do some business in Newport Beach on the property management side.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, nothing changes on property management. Cobalt Property Management, business is growing. It's awesome business. We love the property. Drake crushes it, does a great job with that. But we had an opportunity to do some business in Newport, which we lost, and we lost because we didn't have an office in Orange County. Okay. Mm-hmm. Or we certainly didn't have an office in Newport Beach. Well, I could open a property management, but I sure as hell couldn't open a Global Banker in Newport Beach.
Right.
I don't even think I can get anywhere close to Newport Beach.
Nope.
Okay. Or anywhere else for that matter without jumping
Unless
through.
you go buy franchise rights or buy franchise
the amount of hoops that are required to do any of that is, and again, I love Peter. Peter's my friend, but if I wanted to drop an office right next to Global Banker West, I certainly couldn't do that with Global Banker. Well, he'd kill me.
Yeah.
He would generally. I'm not doing that, Peter. But yeah, there'd be blows. Okay. Yeah. But I now have the flexibility to do that, and it's important. Yeah. It's important. So I don't know. I think I gave you 4 reasons, but I'm going to go to the primary reason.
Yeah.
I think the business model of owning a brokerage, a legacy brand brokerage, is broken, and for me, eXp is the solution to that broken model. By the way, I've looked at all of the other, 3-letter acronyms. What are the other ones? What do you got? You got real, which is the 4-letter whatever with the backwards whatever, and then you've got the L. What is it?
LPT, ROA.
Oh, man, I got it. Okay, so that's
all the alphabet soup.
All the alphabet soup. We've looked at all of them.
Yep.
Okay, and I'll leave my commentary aside.
Yeah.
You guys are my horse. We're gonna ride your horse. And on top of it, Leo. We talked. It's funny. How long has Leo been? The
CEO?
The president or CEO?
CEO he's been for like 2 or 3 years. Okay. And then he was in a different role. I think he was like chief strategy officer before that. And then he moved his way up that ladder.
Well, I don't know if you even heard this story. Leo, I think it was Leo.
Yeah.
Called me 1998-ish. And he was slinging Remind.
Yeah.
Okay. Selling it on the street.
Yep.
So he calls me and says, I got this cool product. And I had seen it. It was one of the products on CRMLS, and I had seen it. So Leo calls me and says, hey, I want to come out and do a demo. And I thought the product was just awesome. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I think it was 2018. My office in Covina, which we still have. Guess who rolls into my office?
Leo himself.
Leo.
Yeah.
Rolls in, demos it. Guy's awesome. Salesman at heart. Obviously has a huge history in real estate sales and, number 1 or whatever he was for all that period of time.
Number 1 in the world.
But I was just like, okay, I got number 1 in the world. And he came in and slung that product, and everyone was like drooling all over themselves.
Yeah.
And we, I don't want to say we're friends, but we certainly have been friendly ever since then. And we talk and communicate. And then we noticed however many years ago, oh, heck, Leo's over at eXp now. And this is a true story. And it might sound like I'm talking trash, and I'm not. I generally have had a good relationship on balance with Coldwell Banker.
Yeah.
But we were in one of those decision-making discussions, business planning sessions with Drew and Drake and I. And we were talking about you and what are we going to do and eXp and are we getting the love we need from our current franchise at CB? And I think it was Drew or Drake. And I'm like, well, why don't you just call Leo?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I guess I hadn't talked to him at that point, I don't think I had talked to him in probably 4 years.
Yeah.
But his number was in my cell phone. I'm going to say, we texted back and forth 4 years ago. So I sent him a text. And I'm not sure who called me first. It might have been you.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I texted you. But within 20 minutes, because I remember I was in Moreno Valley, and I was driving down to the desert, the low desert, and Leo called me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even think it was 20 minutes. I think it was like within 10 minutes. He's like, dude, what's up? Lance, how you going? I'm like, oh, you remember me? He said, of course I remember you. You were kind. You let me into my office. You let me pitch Remind, blah, blah, blah. So we had the conversation, and it wasn't a short conversation. And I may have the chronological order wrong, and then I think he must have texted you or you texted him, and 20 minutes later, you call me.
Yeah.
And then 20 minutes later, Leo calls me. And then this was part of that dance that you and I have been doing for a long time.
Yep.
Sometimes the sales process takes a while.
Yep.
And the reason I tell that story, and again, I don't want to be talking trash, but my franchise owner, anybody of any authority have known for a year and a half that I've been struggling with the renewal.
Yeah.
Not one fucking phone call. 0. Okay?
Yep.
Maybe let's rewind that. Take the fucking out. My franchise owner is known for a year and a half that I'm really struggling.
Yep.
Making the renewal decision. And by the way, they knew that 5 years ago when we renewed.
Yep.
Same mental process. Not one phone call. Not one visit. Not one, how can we help? We know you're struggling. You've been with us for 20 years.
Yeah.
Market's tough. Transaction volume is down. What can we do? 0. Not one. And it's been painfully obvious for the last 12 months that Drew and Drake and I are struggling with the renewal.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm not going to get into some of the dirty laundry. There's a little bit of that, but hey, we have contracts and they exercise their rights, and I get all that.
Yep.
But I use that example when I reached out to Leo, who I hadn't talked to now granted, he's like, oh, there's an opportunity here, sales opportunity. So let's jump on this. Well, what do we do in this business? We recruit and we retain.
Yeah.
Okay. Right?
Yeah.
What else do you
recruit and re-recruit?
You recruit and correct. Or to use my retention word.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I should be in the retention model. Okay. Well, how do you retain a franchisee? Well, how about you call them?
Yep.
Dude, let's go to lunch. Let's see what we can do. None of that. So, so that's another reason. That's another reason why I'm sitting here, because you've been available. Leo's been awesome. I don't know. I'll take him at face value. I was in New York with 2 weeks ago with Leo. We went to breakfast. He spent an hour with me.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh man, the CEO of the ABC company, a company we all would know.
Yeah.
Going to meet with me, and I need to meet with him. I'm like, dude, if you need to go. No, he took an hour with me. Later on that day, he kind of sent me a text or called me and said, well, just so you know, you got an hour of my time this morning. The CEO of XYZ company got 30 minutes. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. And I knew his schedule, but it's just been available. So anyway, the model is a model I think that we're going to be happy with, and we can grow.
Yes.
And we want to grow in 50 states. Well, maybe not 50, but we'll start out with 10 or maybe Nevada.
What part of it are you most excited for the agents? Because I know that was a big part of it for us when we moved is like, again, the Compass offer.
Yep.
For us, it was really good for Kyle.
Yep.
But my agents were going to get screwed by me choosing to go to Compass.
Yep.
What's the positive for your agents for you choosing eXp?
Great question. Drake and I met with one of our agents last week, and we're kind of going through it, and we're hitting the bullet points. And again, I love this guy. One of his responses was, well, that's great for you.
Yeah.
What's that do for me? I'm like, fair enough. So I think it's a couple things. So let's start with the basics. Okay, you're going to put more money in your pocket. On balance, we're going to put more money in your pocket. Yep. And I can guarantee the agents that we currently have are going to put more money in our pocket. There's a couple of things you have to nuance, depending upon the production value. There's things, the math gets a little funky, but they're going to put more money in their pocket. It's going to give them the same flexibility, I think, to grow that we grow. And I know there's kind of this thing about, the downline and the all that sort of stuff. Don't recruit to that. Okay, fine. And for probably a large percentage of the agents, okay, that doesn't make sense. You're just going to do what you're going to do. But we do have agents that want to grow teams, and they do have agents that want to grow. And to be honest with you, we haven't really genuinely supported that. If I'm being honest, we've allowed it, but we haven't supported it.
Yep.
So it's now if that fits your model, if you want to grow and you want to be a team and you want to be, the Sally Smith group or whatever the heck you want to be, then let's do it. Let's leverage those teams. Let's allow you to do that. You're going to save a little bit of money. You're going to be able to brand yourself. Not only are you going to be able to brand yourself, we're going to encourage you to brand yourself.
Yep.
And then I'll use an example, and again, I'm going to leave some names. I've dropped some names I probably shouldn't have, but I had an agent come to me. He's successful, but he's like, I don't want to be the number one agent.
Yep.
I want to be like the number 10 or the 20 or the number 100 agent, because I want to learn from those people above me. So we're kind of tapped out with that. And not that Coldwell Banker doesn't have peer groups, because they have some stuff. But that's one of the reasons, again, other than your good looks and charming personality, your fast forward movement.
Yeah.
And so talk about that a little bit. What's the volume, the numbers?
For sure. So we started Fast Forward Movement back in 2018. It just started out with 6 of us grabbing breakfast at Panera Bread, and we were like, Dan, Beer, and myself were like, you know what? Like, we're going to get together and brainstorm. Why don't we just invite a few people?
Right.
And that started out with 6 people. And here we are years later, that's now 13,500 people.
Right.
And the bet we made 8 years ago was that agents got their real estate license because they want to sell homes. They don't want to be a stockbroker, so let's not talk about stock. And they don't want to be a recruiter, so let's not talk about the revenue share. Let's just talk about selling homes and how can we help everybody sell homes. And that was a bet we made in 2018. Turns out that bet has really paid off because everybody got their license to sell homes. So our masterminds have always been focused around how do we help everybody sell more homes. We had a mastermind earlier today. There was over 500 people on that mastermind. That mastermind that was 6 is now 500 people plus every single Monday. I would argue that it's the most attended weekly mastermind in the real estate space. There's nobody else who's getting 500 plus people every week, week in, week out for years.
Right.
Anybody could throw a webinar and get 500 people on. But could you do it week after week after week after week, year after year after year?
It's tough.
And get that. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And so,
who else does that?
Right.
I mean, is there anybody else?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
If anybody can top that, I would love to hear about it.
Right.
But that bet, not only has it paid off with the amount of agents that have joined the group, but that group sold $68.8 billion in 2025. Like, our average per agent production is over 10, right? Yeah. From a national perspective, it's about a third of that. So the average agent inside of Fast Forward is selling about 3 times more than the average agent in the country. And if Fast Forward, which is just our group inside of eXp, if that were a brokerage, it would have been the number 5 brokerage in the country last year. So that group is all about how do we pour into our people. So we have our Monday mastermind, it is one for everybody. Then we have all these other masterminds to meet people where they're at in their real estate journey. So we have one for new agents, we have one for solo agents, one for small teams, one for big teams, one for ladies, right? They have their own unique struggles in this industry. Right, talking about your grandma back in the day, like she had way different struggles than what ladies have today. But you know, we have one for ladies, we have one for AI. Like, we have all of these different groups inside of Fast Forward so that we can meet people where they're at in their business and help them accomplish those goals. Because the idea behind Fast Forward is that I believe everybody will accomplish their goals. The question is just how long is it going to take and how bumpy is the road going to be on that path? And so if you can align yourself with people who are at or above the level that you want to get to, it's going to help you get to those goals a whole lot faster. And that's where that Fast Forward movement comes from.
And it's super attractive. And I haven't been, which really stinks, I have not been to any of your live events. Yeah. I think Drake's been to two or three of them. He comes back, he's like, man, pretty darn good, pretty impressive. You know, and we've participated in every, I don't know every one, but 9 out of 10 of every single event the Coldwell Banker puts on over the last 20 years, we're there. Yeah. And again, they're not horrible. I mean, but some of them we come back, so that was awesome. But sometimes you come back and say, well, okay, that wasn't great. And I'm sure you probably put on some that are better than others. Yeah. But whether it's the Fast Forward kind of connection with the the Monday calls and the stuff throughout the week, if I'm being blunt, I mean, at least within the Coldwell Banker world that I live in, there's nothing comparable to that. Yeah, there's certainly not that's a Coldwell Banker. I mean, maybe you jump on with Tom Ferry, and Tom Ferry's got some stuff. Or like right now, I'm spending money with Jason Pantana on his AI stuff, and I'm trying to do it. Yep. I'm trying to do it. I shouldn't be teaching it. I need to be in it. I need to be learning it. And that type of agent-focused value, at least within my world that I'm aware of at CB, is not there. Yeah. Now, there may be some other pockets with larger companies that have blended together and they have some cool stuff, but I don't have that. Yeah. So
the difference is when you get on one of those masterminds, it's not somebody talking about it that doesn't actively sell homes, right? We pick 3 topics typically, and then people raise their hand to contribute. And when I watch this on Zoom, I see all the hands line up. I'm looking at them like, oh, Elias, those guys sold like $600 million last year. Jay Bond, that guy sells like $100 million by himself. Right. Jen Marie, like this girl sold like $300 million last year. Like, these are the people that are pouring into the group. Yep. Because everybody knows, like, the beauty of the model at eXp, like the revenue share and the stock, they're important, but not for the reasons most people talk about. They're important because there's an alignment of interest to where we all want the same thing. We all want to help everybody inside of eXp sell more homes because we all own stock in the company. Whether you choose to buy stock or you just earn stock for doing your job, we all own stock. And then there's the revenue share side, which it's the embodiment of that old saying of like, you can have anything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want in life. And so everybody's pouring in because we want to help everybody in the group win, because when somebody in the group wins, I get to win with them. Right. And that's so fucking cool. Like, it is. As a leader, it's like, I love to win. You love to win. But when we win, that's magic, right? And so you guys coming over here, like, I have a financial incentive to pour into you and help you win. Right. Because the more you win, the more I win, and we're going to win together. And that's the beauty of it.
I've always felt that way. I mean, I've sold a lot of houses. I think I'm pretty good. I'm probably not as good as I think I am, but I think I'm pretty good. But if I don't care who you are, top agent, brand new agent, I'll give you everything I got.
Yeah.
Everything I got. I don't hold anything back. Oh, you only share this stuff with the top agents. No, that's not true.
Yeah.
Now, whether, here's the water trough, whether they come and drink, it's a whole other story. But, I always try to be careful to tell stories because, depending on who you are, that story's about you. But there also this silo of information within offices and even within other global bankers or other legacy brands. It's like, oh, this is our secret stuff.
Yeah.
We don't want to share it with them. Or even within an office, my logo and my marketing is who you work with matters. And now this person is using who you work with matters. That's mine. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Do a Google search on who you work with matters. I mean, it's all over the place, So when I see stuff like that, it's the exact opposite of what you just said. I say, no, this is me. I'm going to build my little team. As opposed to, I'm going to share everything I got. I'm going to bring everybody along. But frankly, when you're in a traditional legacy brand and you're in a regular office in the city of Riverside, well, there is that kind of a competition. Well, I don't want to share my stuff. I don't want to share my secret sauce. So, I don't know. I mean, there's so many. You asked me the question, what's the benefit to the agent at eXp? And I think I've given you a few. Yeah. I probably need to be better prepared to articulate exactly what all of those things are. But I just know the model's better. I just know the model's better.
And so I'm excited for you to start coming to the events. We got Charleston coming up in May. So I hope you and the boys will be out there with us. If you've never been to Charleston, it is one of the most special cities in the country.
Awesome.
So we'll be out there. We'll do one of our retreats, which we haven't talked about the retreats a ton yet. So these retreats, which Drake's been to a couple, but we're really big on doing these different than your traditional real estate event. I'm not a big fan of the normal, let's get a big giant hotel, let's throw everybody in a room for like 8 hours, and then we're going to like immediately do like a cocktail hour, and then they're going to be dinner, and it's like, you're literally going nonstop and you don't even get a chance to breathe. Like our events, we try to do 3 to 4 hours of content, but we pick the best of the best when it comes to speakers. And the reality is nobody needs multiple days of 8 hours of content. Like your brain cannot consume that much information. So we try to keep it simple, 3 to 4 hours, high level targeted content, very carefully curated with what we're going to share. And then it's about going out and having experiences. So it's part education, part experience. We see it as our job to create this environment for community to be built, because half of the learning at a conference is what happens in the room, but the other half is what happens out of the room. It's the connections that you make with people and the conversations that come from what was shared in the room. Like, oh, hey, Lindsay Stevens was sharing XYZ. Like, are you guys doing any of that? And now you can go deeper, or you could just go grab Lindsay Stevens and be like, hey, on stage, you were talking about this. I have some questions. Like, so the access to everybody that's at the event is so special. And so I'm excited for you to be a part of it.
Yeah, we're super excited. And we're in studio today at Kyle's studio in, where are we at? La Mesa?
Yeah.
And we're literally trying to get all of this stuff out of my head. You guys are going to see a lot of content from us over the next several weeks and months as to why you mentioned 8 years. It's been more than an 8-year decision
8 years
process.
Of us dating.
It's we'll talk about why we think this model is workable, not only for us, but for our agents, why we frankly think it's a better model for real estate. When real estate's going through a countless number of changes in the last couple of years, whether it's lawsuits and relationships or partnerships and mergers and all sorts of interesting stuff. So anyway, we've made the decision. We are super, super excited about it. Just prepare for a whole bunch of mind dump for myself and Drew and Drake over the next, years to come. So at any rate, buddy, thank you, man. I appreciate you mentoring us along this way. You played a huge role from our first meeting 8 years ago to where we are today, along with Leo and the whole team at eXp. So we're super, super excited. So anyway, just be prepared for just a ton of to the degree that you care. Why are we doing this? What was the decision?
Yeah, people are going to have questions. You were at a franchise for 20 plus years.
22 years, I think.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of questions. So that's going to be the fun part, is to unpack all of the reasons why. Like, why does somebody do this? So it's going to be fun to dive into that. I know we're talking. You're going to talk with Dan Beer, who helped found this thing with me. You're going to talk with Mary Davis, who runs this whole thing for us. So it's going to be fun to just start to get all of this information out. Because I know there's a lot of people that are listening, that are watching, that are in the same boat, that have been somewhere for a long period of time and they've been scared, right? Like, I think about this, like, you're, as boys, right? We all did this at some point when we were growing up. We're sitting on a bridge over some water, and we look down, and like, man, I wonder if it's deep enough.
Yeah.
And like maybe you throw a rock, and somehow you're like gauging, like, oh, did the rock? How long did it? Like, we don't know what the hell we're doing. But eventually, somebody gets
there's that one kid who jumps.
Right? Like, you're jumping.
Yeah.
And there's other people that are now watching you.
Yep.
And his land's going to pop back up and be like, yeah, that was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Or is he going to drown? And so people are going to watch, and they want to know, like, what is that experience? And so I'm excited for you to not only share the why are you making the move now, but in the coming weeks, the coming months, for you to share the experience, right? How was your onboarding experience? How has it been 1 month in, 2 months in, 3 months in, 6 months in? Sharing that experience so that others who are thinking about making the move, they can see what is it actually like over there? Because everybody's thinking about it, everybody's wondering, but they don't want to be the first one to jump.
Right. Well, I guess you were the first one to jump. It still took me a while to jump in after you, but that's a good way to put it, because I feel like we need to kind of explain the why, which we'll go through, and we've done some of that today, and we'll do a little bit more of it later. But then these are the results, these are the successes, and this is what we're doing. And this is the thing, we absolutely believe in the model. Mm-hmm. And again, I've been saying, if you guys have followed me at all in any of the stuff that I've done over the last several years, I'm constantly talking about the broken model. This is the solution, so I don't have to say that. I can say, the broken model, it's broken over there.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a more agent-centric, agent value, agent-forward model, and we're excited about it.
Awesome.
So, all right, so here we go. So more to follow. Stay tuned. We'll see what happens. This is the deal. I've just made this gigantic announcement about our moving from Coldwell Banker Town and Country over to eXp. We are extremely excited about it. If you happen to be an agent who's thought about what your career looks like and what your future looks like, and you want to have a confidential conversation, give us a call, shoot me a number, hit the link down below. I've got my stuff all over Linktree. You guys will be easy to find me. So we'd love to share our journey as to why we went from a legacy brand to what we think is the future model. Not that it's brand new, but the future model of real estate. Hit me up, give me a call, Drew Drake, myself, Paul. Be more than happy to share our experience with you. And of course, we'll keep it confidential as need be. So hopefully we'll hear from you soon.